my friends, and welcome to the final day. Oh wow, how did this happen so quickly? We are at day 5 in Transform Your Brand in 5 days, and I am so excited to be here. It's been a quick few days. Hope you've been getting on really well in completing your worksheets and getting all of your work done, and by now you'll have a pretty firm plan coming into place to transform your brand. So what have we covered so far? In the introduction, we looked at why branding matters and how to develop both a strong and a positive brand. And then, since then, we've just set about doing that, setting about creating your strong and positive brand. On day 1, we helped you determine your brand values and get confident in them and how they dictate so many decisions that you make. On day 2, we looked at who is your brand hero, that ideal client, and how you develop a tribe or community build. On day 3, we looked at brand positioning, where your product or service is positioned in the hearts and minds of your customer. Day 4, yesterday we looked at the look and the style and the visuals, and you've conducted your brand audit and you know what you need to be working on, and we spoke about consistency trumps absolutely everything, so continue to take action while you get your brand visual sorted out. And the last thing that I want to look at today is how facts tell and stories sell, and how we're going to focus on storytelling. How I want you to understand the importance of storytelling, first telling your story and then telling the story of your competitors. And why do you want to do that as a brand? Why do you want to do that when you can just talk about the features, the benefits, the connection, the tribe that you're building? Why do you need to tell a story? And I think this quote sums it up so much. It's nothing sticks in your head better than a story. Stories can express the most complicated ideas in the most digestible ways. Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. And it's the reminder that your target market is so busy. They do not have the time for complicated information. They want something that's easy to process, and they want something that connects with them. You know, that bigger purpose that you want to be a part of. Somebody's story that resonates with you helps you be a part of that bigger purpose. And why your story matters. And you're probably sitting there going, I don't have a fucking story. My story's shit. It's really boring. I cannot tell it. I'm not a storyteller. That's not true. That's not true. Your story matters, and the way you tell your story matters, and the practice and the improving and the getting better of telling your story matters. It separates you from your competitors. It hugely does, because they might offer the same product, the same service, but they might have a different reason. They might have different brand values, and they might have a different story that's driving them, because your story will really drive you. It will help you break through the noise in the marketplace and really connect and inspire your customers. And it also enables you to represent them. And I think that's absolutely key. So commit to the fact that your story is important. The story of how you got to where you are today, what you've overcome as a business person, and also what inspired you to start your business. And you might think, it's not a big inspiration. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, number 1. And number 2, inspiration is relative, and it's relative to the person that you're inspiring. So if you're inspiring a person to do something, well, that's all that we need, and that's absolutely fucking incredible. So ladies, I want to chat briefly about my story and what inspired me to start my business. Everyone knows that I started my business after I had Ulton. Well, I started before I had Ulton, but Ulton was the driving force for the Mumpreneur revolution, because I realized that I wanted to spend as much time with him. And if I was going to tell him that anything was possible in life, I wanted to make sure that I was achieving anything I wanted in life, so I could demonstrate as opposed to preach to him. But my real story, my real passion for helping businesses and business owners starts with my granny. That's my granny there. My granny died in 2010 at the age of 91, almost 92. She'll kill me if I said she was 92. And she was a business owner her entire life, and she owned businesses at a time when everything was local. When you'd go to your local shops and you pop in, and they were the focal point of the economy. And we know since then so much has changed. But what I absolutely adored about her was the sense of community that she created. She knew all of the customers, she knew everyone's name. Like 10, 15, 20 years after she stopped running the shop, people were still coming in to visit her for tea and coffee, because she was so amazing, and she was just so kind, and she was so warm. So my granny operated her business in the heyday of owning a local business. So yes, it was really tough, and yes, there were long hours, and yes, they slogged, but it worked, and it worked because people shopped locally and they wanted. And then I saw the other side of running a business with my dad's business, when my dad was a milkman and he worked for himself, and I just saw the change, as businesses start to change, and it drifted away from local and it drifted away more towards national, and the dairy closed down and it wasn't working out as much for him. And I just saw the pain that caused, and I saw the pain that caused, whereby he was so focused on, I am a milkman, as opposed to I am a business owner who owns a milkman company, that for me it was about helping people flick that switch in their brain. And it was about helping people look, first of all, at the transferable skills that they're developing, and to switch your identity from what you do to who you are. And you're always going to be a business owner. For the length of time that you have this business, you are going to be a business owner. So you have to develop the skills, the mindset, the passion for running a business now, because we don't know what's going to happen in your market. We don't know what's going to change. But what I want to make sure is that anything that you decide you can do, anything that you turn your hand to, anything that you turn your heart to, I want you to already have the skills there. And I want you to already have the business skills and the commitment to growth skills. So that's my story, and that's why I'm so passionate about helping people become the best possible entrepreneur that they can be, but also build the life of their dreams, so that they don't have to struggle, and they don't have to suffer, and they don't have to watch industries change in front of them and feel absolutely helpless. So now it's time to tell your story. And now what I want you to do is I want you to imagine you are meeting an old friend for cocktails, and you're all fired up to share with her why you started your business, what problem you wanted to solve, and what personal challenges you've overcome to start and run the business, and the results you are generating for clients and how these excite you. So imagine you're meeting that friend for cocktails. She wants to hear your story. She genuinely cares about what you're doing. You've not seen her in ages, and she's like, what have you been up to? Tell me absolutely everything. And you get so passionate, you get so fired up. And I want you to keep telling that story. And I want you to find different ways of telling that story. So you can tell it in quotes, you can tell it in blog posts, because you're going to tell this story everywhere. And you're going to tell it time and time and time again, because it's going to continue to resonate with your customers. But I don't want you to stop there, because the biggest problem is most businesses will learn how to tell their story, and they'll do that so well, but they become fixated with the I and not with the you, because they'll only tell their own story. So in line with everything that we're doing with our brand is, I want you to tell your customer stories as well. I want you to focus on the Angies, the Zoes, the Elspeths of your business, and how amazing they are, and how fantastic they are, and how much they've overcome, and how much you respect them, and how amazing they are for what they've overcome to build the business of their dreams. So how can you tell their story? Well, first of all, you need to know who your customer is. You need to know who the hero of your brand is. And like we discussed way back in day 2, you need to know what problem they're experiencing. Can you personify this into a villain? Who is jeopardizing their growth? Who is jeopardizing their success? When do they meet you as their guide? What was the trigger that got them to come to you? And what plan did you give them? Because remember, this is not about how amazing you are. This is about how amazing they are. So you gave them a plan. You gave them a guide. What success did they achieve as a result of this? What failure did they avoid? And then what were the transformations they experienced? So I want you to become an expert in telling your own story. And this comes through practice, because practice makes better. There's no such thing as perfection. So start to practice, but start to look at your customers in a different way and think, how can you celebrate them for all of the amazing things that they do? And by the way, how beautiful is Kat there in that lovely photo modeling for us? Kat made that jumpsuit herself. She looks absolutely stunning. And then I want you to think about where to use these stories on your website, in your marketing or social media, live video content, blog articles, PR, absolutely everywhere. So over to you, my friends. I want you to create your brand story. I want you to create your story about what inspired you. And then I want you to become committed to creating your client stories. My friends, we're finished. We got to the end of day number 5 in transforming your brand, and I look forward to hearing more about how you got on and how your brand has transformed. Bye for now. Orla.